Hey everybody, it's Carol Billing, and let's take a quick tour of Microsoft Word. So to begin, we'll go here in the corner and click this once, and if you're on your home computer or lab computer even, you should see a bunch of different programs stacked up right here. This computer is from the library, so it doesn't have any of that. But it has all the programs, you just have to search for it in this little box. So it has loaded two versions of Word, 2010 and 2013, so we're going to take a look at 2013. One thing I love about this version is it opens to this screen, which gives you a look at all the different templates that are available. So let's say you really want to do a calendar. There you go, and you can look and start from a template that's already pre-built, which is pretty cool. You can even look at that: monthly, annual, nice. All right. This little arrow right here is really important because it's kind of your one step back button. We're going to go with a blank document here. If you had recent documents, you could click there to see recent documents that you worked on. Okay, so in this blank page, it opened up to a nice size, but had it opened and it was small or too big, you hold Control down on your keyboard and you roll the mouse ball with your right hand, assuming you mouse with your right hand. And this lets you zoom, which is really handy, especially when you're over 43 years old and your vision starts to go. Talking from personal experience there. Anyway, okay, non-printing characters are officially called show hide. I call them non-printing because these things don't print, but I like to use them because it gives me a better idea of why my text looks the way it looks. So, for example, let me just set this up real quick. Let's say you were working on a document and you had been doing some different kinds of writing. And then you take these off. You have no idea which line is the red one. And so let's say you start here. Hi, it's Saturday morning. And you go to the next. The sun is shining. I am in my office. Boo. Okay, so you get down here and you're like, oh my gosh, why'd that turn red? Well, you have no idea why, because you don't have your non-printing characters on. So that's why I like it. I also might have had two lines here, and then I don't understand why is the spacing so big. And if I have this, I know I can just come in here and get rid of it. Backspace. Pretty cool, right? All right, so it's kind of like driving in the fog. You can drive in the fog and you probably won't die, but if you got headlights, you probably should put them on so you can at least see a little bit more clearly what you've got going on. All right, so that is non-printing characters. Let's start at the top and we'll walk through it here. So your file button, this is the only button that just completely takes you out of the file. And at first this can be a little alarming because you're like, oh my gosh, where'd my stuff go? It's still there. Don't worry. Relax. This is your back button, which takes you right back to it. But while we're here, information, you can edit all of the properties here and change sort of the name of who wrote it, the author, all that kind of good stuff. I would maybe do that on my home computer, but I certainly wouldn't take the time to do that on a lab computer, any of that. New document here is going to give you a blank page, just exactly where we opened originally. Open would be to find recent documents. So I have these two I want to open. There it is, good. Okay, so that's your open. And also, if you use SkyDrive or OneDrive, this has been changed to OneDrive now. I think it's called OneDrive. That's where you could automatically go out to your OneDrive and grab a file. And the more I use this, the more I like it because you can be on any computer and you can you access your cloud really, which is your sort of virtual holding space for documents. So as long as you have an internet connection, you can grab your files from any computer, so it makes it really versatile. Okay, now save and save as can be a little bit confusing if you're new to computers. Save should really be called save over. because the first time you save a document, you're automatically going to go to Save As, because the computer doesn't know where you want it saved or how you want it saved, you know, what kind of a file you want it saved as. So always Save As is the first way that you save it. It defaults to Save As because the computer just doesn't know what to do with the file. Anytime you hit Save after that, you're just saving over that file. So you're updating it. Does that make sense? Question mark. I hope so. If not, ask and I can go through that again. The other thing that's really interesting about Save and Save As, and this is what I used 100 million years ago when I was a receptionist right after college, is I would make up client letters. And it would be the same letter to lots of different clients. Maybe a little bit of a change in the letter. So I would make the first letter and I would save it as Company A. And then I would open that file up again and I would save it as Company B and change the information that needed to be changed so that it would be correct for Company B. And then once that was done, save it as Company B. Then I would save it again as Company C and make more changes. So when I was done working, I would have a bunch of different letters, but they were essentially built from the same first letter. I do the same thing now with papers. So if I write a paper and I get a good grade on it, and the formatting in APA is the way the teacher wants it, then the next paper I write for that teacher, I leave all the APA formatting there, and I change the actual paper, but I leave, you know, how I have my name set up on the cover page and the teacher's name and the semester and year and all of that kind of information. You know, of course I changed the title and changed the headings and all of that kind of thing. But it's really nice once you know the APA style a teacher likes, then you just copy that paper and of course change the content of the paper, because I'm sure they wouldn't ask for the same paper. But that saves you a lot of time when you write papers for a class. Okay, print is here. I use Control P to get to this screen because I like to use quick keys. They're much faster, and you have lots of options on how you're going to print it and settings that you can use in printing. Share allows you to email it, and I've used that a few times. I don't use too many of these other options. Okay, exporting. Oh, look at that. Didn't even know that was there. Okay, so you can export it right from Word into a PDF, which is really nice because if somebody doesn't have Microsoft Word, but you want them to see something, you know, that you've written in Word, you can export it as a PDF. The other benefit to exporting it as a PDF is they can't change it. So maybe it's something you want them to read, but you don't want them to edit it, you know, or you want them to print it and handwrite edit it. I would send them a PDF. All right, and closes that document. So I just closed a document. Okay, that's fine. I didn't even realize I did that. Account. I think if you logged into your Microsoft email, your account information would be here. And then options. These are things you set usually one time on your home computer. There's your username and your initials. All sorts of additional features. You would go through all of these options. And you can set those defaults there. Okay, so that is the File tab. Also across the top here you have some buttons. These are important. Repeat or Control Y. I use that often if I'm going to do the same task over and over again. So for example, I'm going to type the letter Y and I want to do it a bunch of times again. I just do this. Okay, sorry, that didn't work. It does only the very last thing you've done. Interesting. So if I hit Control Y and then repeat, it'll just give me the Y. So it's only the last thing you've done. So I use it mostly when I do an insert on a table. So let me show you. And I'm going to cover tables in another video, so don't freak out that I just did that really, really quick. But let's say I insert a row. Then I go up here and I use this and I put in however many rows I want in the table. So that's how I use repeat most often. Again, don't freak out that I didn't go through the table thing. That's a different video, and I will explain that. Okay, undo is your very, very best friend. You've just messed up something. You want it to come off, or you want to go back. It'll just keep going back as far as it can remember. And the quick keys for those are, they show when you hover. So Control Z to undo and Control Y to redo. So it's kind of a nice, easy thing to remember. There's your save button. So that's also Control S, and that's save over, not save as. Save over, newer version. Okay. So let's talk about the home ribbon here, because this is important. So this is a tab, Insert tab, Design tab, Home tab. The buttons live on a ribbon, and they're in groups. So you can see this little line here. This is the Styles group, the Paragraph group, Font group, Clipboard. Okay, let's start with Clipboard. So when you click this box here, it gives you more details about that specific group. So here's the clipboard, and a clipboard is like a virtual memory of some, usually a fairly small element. So I could copy this and go copy, and now it is here on my clipboard, newest thing on top. So I'll do that again. Highlight it, copy it, and it goes right on the clipboard. You can clear all and paste all from there, but you could also just click this as your paste button. I use the first one here. Keep source formatting means it will look the same. So pretty cool, pretty easy. You can also just click it here and it'll stick whatever you want in there. And it can also be a picture or text, lots of different options there. So that's your clipboard feature. And that, I use a quick key when I do it, so I would highlight Control C, which is the same as copy, Control C. And then you could go to another document, you could go to a different program, you could go onto the web, you can go onto Facebook, and you can paste that text like in a message on Facebook or a status or something. So that Control C for copy works across different programs, and paste is Control V like Victor. So I would just flip over to Facebook, and then I would click where I want the text to go, and I would click Control V as in Victor, and it would paste it in the text for me. So that's a super handy feature. I love that every programmer has sort of built that into their program, so it works across lots of different programs. Okay, that's Clipboard. Now, Clipboard's the only one that when you click on this, it opens what's called a pane like that. When you go over here to Font, it opens up a dialog box, and it gives you every feature related to font that you could ever want. And let's say you want all of your why does that say Asian text font? That's interesting. Okay. Strike through, it just goes right through it. That's one that we use sometimes. I like small caps. That's another favorite of mine. All caps. You can change your font and your size, but you can also do those quick things up here. So let's take a minute to look at what you get automatically in your group. This is a quick way to change your font, and you can start typing it, and as you type it, it comes up. Here's Times New Roman, which is what you use for MLA and APA. You can click here your size. You can also, I have to select this. When you select the text, then it will make the change to the text. So here I used Times New Roman recently, so it comes to the top, which is handy. And then I could enlarge the text size or shrink it. I use that fairly often. It's kind of fast. Bold, italic, and underline. There's your strike through, so you can get it either place. Some outlines, I don't go into that too much, but here's highlighting feature. Now the highlighting feature is very different than the background. So here I've highlighted it, and if you apply a color, you see how the color has gone all the way. It does the whole area, whereas highlight does just over the words that you've selected. So that's the difference between the shading and the highlighting. And this is your font color, so you could change this. Okay, so I would suggest that you play around with these buttons, get familiar. These are everything to do with how the letters look. And then paragraph dialog box is how the whole paragraph looks. So it's kind of getting a bigger picture kind of thing. So here's your centering, like if you wanted a title to center it, that would be your button. If for some reason you wanted all of these things to be on the left, it would go here, or excuse me, the right, my other left. Just kidding. The Justify version is usually used in legal documents. I think that's where you see it most often. This is what's called ragged right or align left, and so that's newspapers and most things that we have that we read here. Whenever you go to, whenever you use fully justified, let me show you what happens. Small changes in the spacing between text, comma, words, etc. All right, so if I highlight this paragraph and I go to fully justified, do you see how it just added some goofy spacing in between? And when you take your non-printing characters off, this one doesn't look too bad, but sometimes there's just really strange gaps in between words. And what essentially they just stretch it out to make it flush on the right side. So I tend not to use that choice. I much prefer the, and I think other people do as well, regular standard spacing between words. Okay, this is a pretty cool feature, borders. So if you drop it down, you can simply add a bottom border or a top border. And because my cursor was sitting right here, it was applying it there. Let's grab this Y. That'll be a better visual. All right, so a bottom border, top border, left, right, no, all borders. Get the picture. I bet you got it 10 minutes ago. Okay, borders and shading. This is if you want to do kind of some drastic creative stuff. You would apply it here and here, but then let's say on the bottom you want to do a double line and make it red. Then you could click that one and then OK. And so there's your custom borders. Those are pretty cool. All right. I'm not going to go through every button because you can look through them and check them out. Let me just change this. I need my non-printing characters on. I can't see where things are. Okay, bring all this back. I want to show you numbers. So this is a great feature here. You just click the number feature and it gives you the numbers. Or you could do a button like a check mark. That looks kind of cool. And an outline feature, let me show you what that looks like. Let's see. So here when you hit enter and you hit tab, it automatically indents to the second line, and then you could go like that, and then if you want you could indent a third line. And so that's your outline feature. That comes in very handy when you're working on an outline for a paper. Okay, styles is something completely different, and Word 2013 handles styles differently. In the older version you just sort of had one choice, but now you have this design tab right here, and so you go into the design, drop this down, pick whatever style you want. So let's go with this one, which is pretty fancy. It is fancy. And I'm going to pick up a different, oh no, this will work fine. Okay, so under design I've picked fancy. Now when I go back to my home tab, you can see the styles pane has been populated with all the preset styles for that design. So the way that this works is you say, okay, you highlight this and you say, okay, I want this to be my title. And so when you click it, it applies that change to the title. And this is yellow because I had it highlighted. So it retains that highlighting that I put on there, but I'll take it off. So that's exactly how the title font works. And so when I click in there, you can see it switched to title. Now let's say I want this to be my subtitle. I would click here, and let's say I want this to be just normal. That didn't really change much, but you get the idea. It'd be very quick and easy to build a nice looking document for something other than English class. I don't think your English teacher would appreciate all the fanciness, but other teachers might. And certainly in the real world, out where you make a living, they like nice documents. So that could be really handy to use that to make a professional looking document very quickly. So you just want to highlight whatever you want. That that's the title, so you highlight it, put there. Let's say you decided you wanted to use heading 1 here instead of subtitle. It would go there. I don't quite know why that popped up. There you go. So that's how styles work. A very quick overview. You have a find, replace key, select key, which is interesting. I never used that. To select things, I use the margin here. So when I click here, it grabs that whole line that is just to the right of wherever the mouse is. I see a lot of new users click and drag like this, and that's fine if you just want one thing, but I like if I want a word, I just double click on it and grab it. If I want a line, I come over here and grab it from the margin. It's just a little faster. Double click to grab the whole paragraph, and then a triple click grabs everything in the document. To grab everything though, I usually use Control A, because I know for sure it's going to grab everything in the document. Let's say I want everything to go back to normal. That's how I would handle that.